Austraeoh by Imploding Colon, read by Deathlight. Chapter 35, Creatures. Winthrop was alive, with a rattling cacophony of dozens of hooves trembling over the wooden lattices. The windows of buildings briefly opened as families glanced into the misty madness, only to slam them shut and barricade them desperately from the inside. Squeaking sounds filled the air as small metallic ballistas armed with razor-sharp barbs were wheeled out onto the outermost platforms. Clad in leather armor, several Wintergators clung to their weapons and stared out into the mist from the protective glow of the silver mana crystals. For a moment, all was silent, save for the nervous breaths of multiple ponies forming an anxious chorus. Failings after failings of young stallions held their ground, doing their best not to quiver in their horseshoes. Gold Petals was among them. She ran to a stop beside a ballista team and held her polearm up and ready. Gulping, her eyes darted from beneath the hood as she looked for any sign of darting shadows from beyond the fog. The moonlight gave the dense air an unearthly quality. A dim blue aura bathed the elevated township, obscuring the night sky above and the deathly heights below. As the seconds wore into minutes, only the air moved. And even that was the barest alterations to the ever-frozen moment. False alarm, a stallion muttered. He stood back, sighing in relief as he leaned on the ballista's controls. Figures that some idiot got spooked and made the rest of the gods freak out. Shh. Gold Petals hissed, struggling to keep her voice low. For all we know, they could just be stalking us. Oh, please. He spun around and smirked at her. Don't pretend that these winged brutes are capable of patience. A brown shape hurled itself out from the steeping clouds and swept the stallion off his hooves. His voice turned into a scream as several spindle-thin legs hoisted him into the air, released and sent him flying through a wooden pile of crates. As the splinters flew, Gold Petals found herself ducking more and more shadows, an entire swarm of leathery bodies slicing their way through the mist and dipping into the streets and the platforms of Winthrop. The air filled with horrible banshee cries, punctuated by the random shouts of ponies fighting back the sudden onslaughts. Gold Petals squatted low, panting hard. She gazed up in time to see his stallion backing up, swinging his polearm high. He managed to knock one of the creatures off course, only for a second one to dive low and sweep him off his hooves. He fell back through a series of barrels, just as a brown flank took the entirety of Gold's sight. She shrieked, a little too high for her liking. She fell back from the horrid weight of something against her chest. Upon landing, she was looking up into a flat, angular face with no eyes and a horizontal slit of a mouth full of serrated bicuspids. Long spiderly limbs struck out of a thin body with a ray-like monstrosity. Gold Petals smelled the scent of copper blood and bile. The creature was biting down on her. Grunting, she lifted the length of her polearm in time to block the creature's lunge. Its thin, razor-sharp teeth nibbled and tore into the body of the wooden weapon. With her mouth, she clamped onto the side of the polearm and yanked it to the left. The creature was flung off by its grip. It smashed through a railing, impelled by a piece of plywood, and fell, shrieking into the depths of the valley below. Breathing hard, Gold Petals stood up. She reeled from the sheer force of the three creatures flying directly overhead. Struggling, she raised her hood for a good look. She saw the creatures flying straight for a crystal embedded in the metal pole. They shrieked painfully from the proximity of the fog-clearing magic. Sacrificing their bodies, they joined together and hurled themselves onto the burning light. They succeeded in knocking off the crystal completely off the side of Winthrop, so that it fell ineffectually into the depths below. Immediately, the smoke and fog of the mountain filled the gap remaining. Goldplate gnashed her teeth. She spun and saw several ponies engaged in fearless battles all across the elevated urbanscape. One by one, while the defenders were established, groups of creatures were sweeping in to tackle the sources of magic. "Hey!" she shouted again, standing on her rear hooves and swinging her forelimbs widely. "Pay attention! Look! They're going after the crystals! Protect the crystals!" One guard was struggling with one of the giant, bat-like monstrosities just a few feet from her. "Hey!" Golpedos ran towards him. "Let's work together! We need to keep them away from—" "Back to Tartarus with you, you frickin' flying rats!" The guard yanked a dagger out of a hoof's sheath and made a jab at the creature. A giant spatterly leg poked him in the eye. "Ah!" He fell back, and his tail hairs got entangled in the controls of one of the ballistas. The launcher spun around and yanked to the side and fell to the platform. As soon as it did, the giant barb fired. It streaked across the wooden floor, spraying sparks and barreling Golpedo's way. With a scream, she dove to the side as the projectile flew into the wagon full of garbage. Half of the contents flew in a dense spray into the mare. She absorbed most of the blow, but the wave of junk was too much. She tripped, teetered, and plummeted hard to the length of the wooden railing. With a sickening crack, the wooden fence gave way and she fell. Gasping, she flung two hooves up and caught the edge of the platform. The swinging earth pony dangled, barely, from the edge of Windthrow. Swirling mists and brown bodies spun around her. Below, a foggy crevice yawned hungrily like a glowing blue maw. Gold struggled to pull herself up. Her ears rang with the shouts of ponies and crashing wood. Something lit up in her peripheral vision. She watched desperately as another mana crystal, pole and all, was flung over the edge, lighting up the otherwise impenetrable depth below. "Oh, blessed sun goddess, help me!" Just as she said that, a pair of brown creatures touched down on the platform just above her. With drooling mouths, the eyeless things leered at the pony and prepared to stab with their spindle legs. Golpedo's eyes narrowed and her face tensed. In a blink, something had flattened the two shrieking creatures into painful contortions. Four blue hooves were mercilessly trampling them with sickening crunches of bone. They were kicked limply over the edge, so they plummeted past Golpedos. Golpedos breathed. Then that breath turned into a scream as she slipped from the platform and fell to her death. The world stopped flying past her, for a pair of teeth was yanking her up by the hood of her outfit. And back to safe hoofing. She teetered until the Pegasus held her steady. She looked up and blinked. "Rainbow? You really gotta watch out who you pray to." Rainbow Dash winked at her. "You came here just to save me?" "As if." Rainbow rolled her ruby eyes. She turned and bravely faced the carnage, scraping her front hooves along the floor with emphasis. "I came here so I can look awesome." Just then, three shrieking creatures mercilessly tackled her. "Dash!"